Baby doll, look at you. Welcome back. So we're going to talk about exit liquidity for whales. And it's not what you think. So normally that would sound predatorial in terms of, we're used to retailers get sucked into a narrative and then everybody buys a top and then we call it exit liquidity because whales need a reason for everyone to keep FOMO buying so they can just hit out on their offers and they can get filled, right? And it's true. It's actually true. But even without whales, this happens with markets anyway. Like, you've seen it in crypto, man. You see people buying absolute garbage memes. I don't want to call them garbage because they're fun. But yeah, man, that's just everywhere. It's a casino. People are putting money. We're all speculating. It happens with stocks, right? The CEOs do exit liquidity stuff. They all do it, man. This is the whole game. The whole game is this. But today's focus is going to be more on the God Whale of HEX. So what are we talking about when we talk about how much can someone really exit a market? How much can you really click out? If you look here on the right-hand side, friends, we're going to zoom in. You can see the bid. Oh, we've got a big zoom in right here. See the bid here? The bid is 13 million. So if you were to go click market, what this actually means is, let's get our cute little pen, all right? So there's a pool, right? So on the way, this is the offers, this is the bids. I'm going to make it nice and juicy for you so we can see, okay? So there's 13 million, right? 13 million USDC, right? We'll just write that down. That is going down on a ladder. The price is going down, okay? Because remember, if you sell, you have to extract value downwards. You've got to swap out into USDC. But what about the upside, right? The upside is that it's like the supermarket shelf, okay? This is the HEX for sale. I don't know how much is for sale. Let's just say it's something like, let's say it's, I've got to zoom in. Oh, it doesn't matter. Let's say it's something like 50 million. Yeah, let's say it's something like 50 million HEX. So we're just going to write 50 million. This is HEX, okay? HEX. All right, and this is the supermarket shelf that we talk about. So if someone wants to come in and buy, so we're going to come in with a yellow ticker here. So if someone wants to come in and buy, they have to move it up. And what do you actually do, right? You place money into a pool and you grab what's on the shelf. All right, so you're going to grab the HEX off the shelf. That's why we always say there's only 50 million for sale at any time. So that's why if you leave the market thin for as long as you can for the lifetime of an asset, whenever people want to come and FOMO, they have to pay enormous slippage because nobody wants to sell it, right? That's why a store of value is the ultimate asset. That's why Satoshi, he made Bitcoin and the market everybody chose, hey, let's make a store of value. You know why? This is why. It's because store of value means the meme in your head is not to sell this. Don't put this on the supermarket shelf. Don't put this on the offer. Don't put it on exchanges. Don't even put it on Uniswap. Don't leave it there. Don't put it in Matcha. Don't leave it there. Keep it safe in your wallet and take it off the shelf. That's literally the most bullish thing you could ever do. That's why store of value is more bullish than utility. Because utility, like Ethereum and gas, you always have it lurking around because you always need to spend it, right? You always need to use it. Just like, say, oil. You always got to spend it. You don't really respect it because you're always in the habit of getting rid of it, right? So we have to go deeper with this. That's why store of value is actually the king. Now, we're all coming late to crypto, right? We weren't in the first 5 years. That's when store of value was first birthed on the blockchain, right? We're like, oh my God, we could store value here because you can't copy it, right? But we have to realize that we're late. We're late to this. That's why obviously the most money to be made was Bitcoin at the start. Now, we are not late per se. We are just way later in the game, okay? So that's why we're all taking the punt here that HEX's store of value, right, and the meme that it carries is going to continue attracting a wider audience. That's what we're here for. So that's what's on the shelf, right, to buy HEX. But, the topic of today's video is what about if you wanted to go down? What if you wanted to sell, right? How much is available at the cash register for you to steal? It's 13 million USDC. You can see it right here, right? This is the ask. This is the bid. Sorry. Yes, that's the bids. The bid's 13 million. So, and this is on the DEX. That's why Uniswap is beautiful, because these bids aren't fake. Now, you can put fake spoofs with Uniswap V3, but on average, these are sitting there. You can go and just click in. You can take out 13 million, roughly from there, okay? And you will go see on other websites, they can show you the liquidity for, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else, and they're much thicker. You're like, oh my God, I can sell 300 million of Bitcoin down. That's its bid side, right? And I'm going to show you that now. And I'm showing it here now to you, right? This is Live Coin Watch. You see the bids here, 400 million, and it's only minus 2%. So you're going to see this and go, HEX is so thin. It is thin, but chill out. Most of these bids on Bitcoin, they're fake. Okay, they're actually fake. So you would think, oh my God, if there's 400 million for 2% down, there could be like 50 billion on the way down. No, doesn't work like that. All of these bids and asks, see these bids and asks, right? That's going down and going up. All of those bids and asks, let's do it nice, right? So you got the asks up and you have the bids down, right? All of these bids, and there's the ask, so S for sell. So what happens is, as someone comes into the spot market and starts selling, these people, they're all market makers. This is all of us scalping around and stuff. But if someone starts selling enough, everybody gets out straight away, right? No one's going to sit here as a market maker and absorb your like 10,000 Bitcoin if you then have another 10,000 to keep selling, and then another 10,000 and another 10,000. That's why when Bitcoin falls down, right, it falls down like a waterfall, right? You got a little waterfall here. But that's why when we go down, we go like, oh no, and then we go like, no. That's why it falls down like a waterfall. It's because that guy, he sells a bit, and he goes a little bit, and then the market maker, he realizes, oh crap, look how much inventory we've built up, right? Because their inventory is, when you're selling, they are taking it off you, right, on these centralized exchanges. And they keep selling down and selling down and selling down. And then the market makers get rid of it here. The market makers are like, crap, we've got to take our loss before we lose everything, all right? So HEX is thin. So what can we do, man? Well, the topic, all right, of today is going to revolve around, what happens if you sell? My point is that every asset is thin. When you need it to be the thickest, it's going to be thin. When it starts deviating away from today's price fast, you want the bids to stay there. They don't stay there, man. All those fake, perpetual, scum, they all pull. It's all fake, man. It's all trash. It's fake. And it's people hedging with each other. So let's say another coin like Ethereum, right? Or even XRP or XLM or EOS or Polkadot, or Solana, whatever you want, right? When you sell a lot of that coin on the centralized exchanges, market makers, they got to hedge themselves. And what they do is they only sit on the bid. So this is Sol, right? When you're selling down, right, some person here, he's got his hands out catching it. Yeah, these is cute little hands. But when he catches the Sol, they go to BTC and then they go, crap, we got to hedge. We got to sell a crap load of BTC because our Sol longs that we've collected are very at risk if a big Bitcoin move is coming. So that's why that's why as altcoins get sold off, right? If enough of them get sold off, they drag Bitcoin down as well because everybody's hedging with them and they're hedging on the perpetuals, okay? But look at God Whale here. So HEX has a God Whale, okay? And let's read this together, right? So HEX God Whale, he's got $1 billion in HEX plus, okay? This screenshot, by the way, is just his Ethereum. He's got stakes and stuff, okay? So I just want to show the number of $1 billion, right? So HEX God Whale has $1 billion in HEX. But as we just showed, right, HEX is only like 10 million USD, right? The real number's 13. He can't even exit here if he tried. Okay, so this guy has $1 billion. He's got like 200 million in Ethereum right now. He can't exit, man. If he exits, he sends it all to zero. And he only grabs like 10 million, right? So, like, I want to ask you this, right? Would you take a minus 99.5% loss on something right now, like today, Like if I asked you, like, how much Bitcoin you have? Okay, you have 1 Bitcoin. Would you give it away to me for the price of 0.01 Bitcoin? Well, no, you wouldn't. Well, if you wouldn't, you're like, no way, man. No way I would damage myself and give you my Bitcoin right, which is a diamond to me. I would not give that to you away for 99% discount. Well, that's the imaginary horrible that all of us think. We all think, okay, if I was some super rich dude and I have money everywhere, I'm just going to start sending these ecosystems down to zero. But that doesn't happen, friends, because that's their identity. Okay, they got there for a reason. They got there by nurturing this stuff, not by like just being destructive. It's like saying, oh man, if I was the president, I'll just go start nuking every other country, right? Play that out in your head and see how that works out, right? Okay, so look, let's go through this again. So what God Whale can do is he can help pump the HEX ecosystem and promote it, all right? And that way he can eventually grab liquidity from perpetual swaps, OTC desks, and money markets like Aave, all right? So this is where, this might be the ultimate game, okay? But you might, see, everybody hold your horses, right? Please. Leave your slippers on and just chill out for 5 seconds. People get angry at this thought, but if someone is doing this, they're helping you win, okay? They're helping you win. So before we even go through the HEX, right, let's go through Roger Ver. Roger Ver bought 280,000 Bitcoin at $1, okay? He bought 280,000 Bitcoin at $1. When Bitcoin in 2017 was here, he was worth 2.8 billion when it was 10K, and he couldn't exit. Because I want to tell you this right now. Today's liquidity, if you try to sell 2.8 billion of Bitcoin, you'll literally send it down 95, 99%. Easy, right? So imagine how low you would send it back then, right? You're gonna, like, if someone's trading 2.8 billion from you, man, to sell in one go, in Bitcoin, right? And it's much thicker. Look how thick and like mature it is now, right? But go back to 2017, man. He could have literally just sent it back to like $100. No one's going to sit there taking it. Can't absorb him enough, right? So that's why we always do this imaginary, I want my money now. I want this, I want that. The people who get to these positions, they got there being slow. It's like they're always at war. They're at war and there's a strategy. You can't just go in with your knife out and your little water pistol and expect to take on an army, okay? These people didn't get there by making the wrong moves. Now, what's funny is in the early Bitcoin chart and early HEX chart, you'll see a lot of wicks down. So the price is going up and it has these wicks down. And, that is all. If you go check the on-chain and everything, there's even videos on HEX of it, which is an amazing historical account. That's all weak hands who, they're like, oh my God, they've woken up one day. They literally just woke up and the price went up and they're looking at their money and they're like, oh crap, I'm up at 10x. Wow. And they just get everything out and they just sell it down. They just click market, right? But as a market matures, right? So what happens is over time, the biggest holders, they're right here, okay? Because they got in early, all right? They took on the most risk. But as you go along with time, you weed them out. You have less of them panicking out, okay? You have less of a chance that they suddenly wake up and go, oh my God, everything's a mistake. I'm going to get rid of this, okay? Less of a chance. It's still possible, but way less of a chance. So when we go look at HEX God Whale, he's not going to come and sell 13 million, okay? He can, but then he literally erases all of the hard work he did. He gives away, remember I gave you the example? You sell me your Bitcoin for 0.01 BTC cost. Well, that's the same thing what he'd be doing, right? You think it's easy, man. Imagine you gave away your lottery ticket of a lifetime, and then imagine he doesn't kill HEX if he does it. Like imagine it's actually still around in 24 months. He will realize, oh my God, I gave away everything. I gave it away for free, So there's a lot of these imaginary horribles in people's heads, right? But how could he actually exit, right? So you think, okay, what if he doesn't want to exit all of it? What do he want to exit some of it? Well, this is just the normal game. This is what happens, right? So you have number one. Let's just zoom in. Let's zoom into this. So number one, the creation of a futures product, right? So a perpetual swap index. So, crypto has this, futures markets in traditional finance have it. So when you attract the degens in the casino, they all want to gamble on a range. And at certain points, they get so confident that they want to gamble on the range that they use more leverage, So instead of that person with let's say you have a collective people, right? Let's say a collective amount of people have $10 million to gamble. Well, if on average they're doing 10x leverage, right, and they're all trading a little range, then now you have, instead of your bids, for example, if instead of them doing 10 million, 10x leverage, what's that? 100 million now, right? So now theoretically, God Whale, his portfolio rescue quantity has gone up, right? So I use the word rescue here as tongue in cheek. If you're so if you actually have this idea in your head where it's, they got to rescue themselves out and they got to just paper hand market sell, right? So that's what would happen. So as the market would get thicker, people would leave their bids bigger, just like they do in Bitcoin and Ethereum when they're trading on Bybit and all the other and Binance, right? And then you could use them as exit liquidity. They could just start TWAPing out. So TWAP is just God Whale might say, hey, I'm going to sell 500K or a million a week for 10 months, for example, And you have other options too. So as the market gets bigger with maturity, as the network effect grows, you attract more players, right? But you do need these futures products. The futures products were made for liquidity, okay? So number 2, right? When this happens, you probably have an OTC desk, okay? So you would have people who didn't want to go to the market. So not only would the market be thick, you'd have people with desks around. They're like, hey, anyone want to buy, anyone want to buy 50 million hex, or can anyone sell me 30 million? I don't want to go, they don't want to go to the market. Nobody wants to be a market buyer, which is funny. Everyone wants a good deal, friends. It's actually amazing. Because I've noticed people with 10K and 15K to your name, you all think, oh man, if I just had this money, I'll just go start whacking it hard. No, you won't. You're giving money away. They don't do that, okay? They don't do that. You know why? They don't want to FOMO buy unless it's last resort, because they would be paying the short-term traders, and they know it, right? They will be paying it. They'll be getting a crap deal, all right? So that's why they always try to look for OTCs, okay? So what about the third one? The third one also adds the chance of more liquidity out there. So it's the creation of a money market that takes HEX. So it's exactly what Aave does, right? For example, the pool would allow HEX deposits, and he can take out USDC from the pool. So, I'll just do a quick example here, right? So this is how Aave works, but this is not the automatic win, all right? Because you're going to see why. So Aave, right, you have a supply and a borrow side, yeah? Aave, supply is, hey, come and put your coins in. And then up here is, what do you want to borrow today, sir? So that is what's going on in the protocol. So you would obviously supply HEX. You'd supply HEX, and you could even put PLSX, if you assume it's under the one wing, right? Because he sacrificed them. So you would put this, and then you get credits to your name. You're like, oh wow, he now has 1 billion credit, woo, right? Credit, and then those credits can be spent to borrow, okay, on the other side of the equation. So then he's like, I would like some stable coins. And now you have stable coins on the right hand side, and you go, oh wow, he's got 1 billion in credit, he can just go borrow 1 billion. No, he can't borrow that much. There's a ratio that is maximum allowed to borrow, and HEX is hyper volatile. Not super, hyper volatile, right? You just don't have normal cotton socks. Yours are extra fluffy, right? So are you going to set up your loan system, right? Because if you mess this up, you lose money, right? Are you going to set it up to allow a hyper volatile asset that can drop 40% in one click? Are you going to allow this dude borrow next to his limit? No, you're not, all right? Maybe it's going to be 30%, right? So now he can only borrow 300 million, right? Which is still good. And there will be a cowboy smiling face emoji, it's still good, right? He can borrow 300 million. But here's another kicker, friends. Okay, here is the kicker. Who's going to put 300 million USDC into this pool for Mr. God Whale to borrow? Okay, who's going to do that? So you're it's catch 22. It's I've got the credit, but I can't borrow the money. Why? Because it's not even in the protocol. So now the protocol has to hope and pray that they attract that much money. But how are you going to do that? You're going to have to offer higher rates. But what if it just doesn't get there, man? What if we run out of money, right? What if there's just not enough stable coins out there and not much interest to do it? That's what you have to think about. But now, remember from my post, I mentioned Mr. God Whale, right? To even get this to be done, right? What he can do is help pump HEX ecosystem and promote it, right? So that includes Pulse Chain and PulseX. So that's why it's in his best interest to get Pulse Chain off the floor running with whatever he can do. That means don't sell, okay? Because remember, if he clicks sell, he stalls himself another 12 months, right? I'm not joking. Every time he clicks sell, that's another 12 months and another 12 months and another 12 months. For what, right? So if he is holding for the asymmetric gains, this is what would happen. He wants to make sure it grows the biggest and the fastest and the most mature as possible. And to do that, everybody's got to be on the same team, okay? The ecosystem's got to grow. And this has all been done before. This happens in crypto. This happens in normal markets, okay? But now we're with DeFi. You can't go... See, Mr. Whale here, Mr. God Whale, he can't go to a firm like a bank and say, hey, take my HEX and give me 300 million, right? They won't give it to him. Because in the real world, firstly, you can't turn like 100K to a billion off just like punting, which is what he did. I think he put 120K in an ETH and he just punted it basically at the very, very start, right? So you don't even get that opportunity. So their brains aren't even used to something like that. But the volatility is much less. You can do this they do this with stocks and your property and you can borrow that stuff, but you never even get to this point, right? So that's why it's the most amazing thing that we can see this happen this fast. That's the crazy part. This fast, right? But, with stocks, companies, CEOs, they go through the same thing as well. A lot of them will try to post their margin to be their poopy coin stock, right? So, poopy stock. So, poop stock market, right? So, they might have a share and they are like the CEO of poop and they have 5% ownership. They want to try put it for Goldman Sachs. Now, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan will have their own ways of measuring it and their own different rules about, hey, how much do we want to let this guy to borrow, right? And if maybe this guy's an insider, part of the cartel, maybe it's thin as hell, but the guy gets to borrow and do other funky stuff, right? So the game is not open to me and you. That's the part. So I know this corruption goes on in the real world with poop, but we can't access that, right? And because they get access to a money printer, they got dodgy stuff, all in the shadows, balance sheets, who knows what's going on. But this all has to be transparent. We need a formula. We have to make it fair for everyone, right? So that's why God Whale can't game it. God Whale cannot game it, friends. He actually needs to pump this ecosystem, okay? Same as Richard Hart, same as everyone else. Everyone needs the system to win. Everyone. That's why the land of imaginary horribles, right, where all the soy drinkers, where they dwell and they roll around in the grass and they think they're having a good time, but they're not. That land doesn't exist, okay? No one's happy in that land where you're actually thinking, oh, someone's going to send it to zero. Yeah, your payout, if you walk out, is a unit of 1. But if everyone holds, your payout is like 50. Isn't that crazy? Because the ecosystem keeps growing, it gains traction, and that's what happens over time. And here's another thing, friends. People don't even consider that Mr. God Whale, he's already rich, man. I'm telling you right now, you think he's not thinking about, I wonder what 100 billion feels like, You never know, man. You never know. There's only certain things you can buy. And if you're on the fastest growing asset in human history, it's something to think about, okay? So, Mr. God Whale, everybody made a joke here of this post. I even got a post here where he's got 130,000 Ethereum, all right? He can just stake his Ethereum. Look at this. He can stake his Ethereum, and I think, let's say by the time he's done, let's say the yield is 2.5%. He'll get 3,200 ETH per year. And when, let's say if Ethereum hits 10K, he's getting 32 million a yield per year. Just staking. He could literally siphon out of Ethereum and just pump HEX if he really wanted to. That's the funny part. Because, hey, I would do that. Wouldn't you? You could just stake your Ethereum and go, hey, I actually don't lose any money, right? I will just use the yield from Ethereum and, use this 32 million every year. So, you could divide that by 12. He'd be getting 2.7 million per month. And he could say, you know what? This is just 100% marketing costs for Pulse Chain to promote the system. He can do that, man. He can do that. Because look what the upside is. We just went through my diagram together. The upside is enormous if you can pull this off, okay? So everyone's got a goal here. And HEX is no different to other coins, friends. So this is the last thing we're going to go through, man. I went through myself. I might make another video on this. Go look at the DEX liquidity for Uniswap, for Chainlink, for every coin. It's thin as hell. It's much more thin than you think. Uniswap, yeah, it's true, man. Uniswap, you sell $13 million, it literally goes to zero. I'm not joking. 13 million. Just go sell it right now, right? But its market cap's 5 billion, right? So all these imaginary treasury coins and governance, I mean, theoretically, it's worth zero. So, you know, in Link, nobody's bag is worth more than 12 million. That's true as well. The same thing. Its market cap says 3.5 billion, but you can only sell 12 million. This is the thing. This is the concept of the perception of value, friends. So yeah, I know we've just come from a bear market, right? So let's read this together. The good thing is that strong holders stay strong and prices pump in future cycles, staying with stocks. So because we've just come out of the bear market, most of us are thinking, oh man, I'll just take my money and run. I never want to go through that again, okay? But seasons change. The cycles move on. People wake up every day and they realize, hey, it really isn't the end of the world. And all it takes is for people to feel a bit good. Dopamine's gone through their brains. They watch some videos. They're like, hey, man, you know what? We've been through a lot worse in life. You know, everything's going great again and things are picking up. That's why the power of the green candles is amazing. You just need like one green candle to just change the direction and people to start talking positive. And now suddenly people forget the pain real quick. You know, they do. They forget the pain real quick. Now, we're still salty that the prices went down, but that pain goes away, right? That's why, I mean, tops form the way they do, man. That's why you got like a euphoria at the top. People like forgetting, people forgetting that they were depressed and crying and they came from nothing, you know? That's why they go near. And same as in the bottom, people forget to be happy, right? That's why cycles and markets move the way they do. So, you know, HEX God Whale. Benevolent, hey, he could just click and send it to zero right now. He could. But same thing with you. You could give me your Bitcoin for like $400. You could. Yeah. Will you? Think about that. All right. Until next time, friends.